Yeah. Well, officially recording. And although I wasn't here last week to meet Doug, we're just so thrilled that you're here again. These tidbits and of expertise to this group is just so valuable. So thank you for being here.
You're quite welcome. Glad I could be here.
Yeah. And so, Doug, what is it that you do? You're a program analyst.
I'm an incentives analyst at Department of Energy. I was hired in the spring of this year to start up the wildfire incentive program, and that's for rebuilding after the 2020 wildfires. I have since been joined by one helper. I have an assistant who is also reviewing incentive requests now. So there are two of us working through those applications and answering phone calls and emails.
Ah,
It's
for the state or for our region? Like, I mean, I know it's with the state, but are you just in Southern Oregon or are you like all of Oregon?
it covers all of the wildfires, so all 8
Okay.
counties where wildfires happened at the same time back in 2020.
Yeah.
Um, and we've actually had one. I didn't know, I didn't think it was eligible at first, but we had one applicant also from Wasco County, clear up by the Columbia Gorge. And there were fires all over the state. Fortunately, most of them were not inhabited areas, so not too many dwellings involved. Our program specifically is aimed at helping rebuild homes and businesses. So site-built homes, manufactured homes, and commercial structures are all eligible. And last week I went through a slideshow, and I'm happy to do that again if necessary, or folks are interested in that. Or we can go to questions, whatever
I
suits
think
the
since
group.
we're recording, I would love to have you do the slideshow.
Excellent. Okay, I will be happy to do that. Any questions before I get started?
Looks like it. I am by the end of this would love to know if Joseph has any specific questions. I know, or maybe they'll be answered with your presentation.
Yeah, if everybody puts their questions in the chat as they come up, that way we don't, nobody will forget what they are by the time we get to the question and answer section.
Awesome. Great.
And Linnell, you can text me if you can't get to the chat.
All right, so can everyone see this? Should see a picture that says Energy Efficient Wildfire Rebuilding Incentive Program.
Yep.
All right, so this is, again, the Oregon Department of Energy Incentive Program for rebuilding after the 2020 wildfires. And a quick word about our department. The Department of Energy is focused on maintaining our current energy supplies and expanding those in the future to provide clean and available energy for current and future generations in Oregon. And this is a lengthy explanation of how we go about doing that. But for this program, it's more about rebuilding communities. And we do offer an incentive for just rebuilding to the current building code. And we'll talk more about that as we go along. So it's essentially to help folks rebuild and reestablish communities that were destroyed by the fires. This is one small part of House Bill 5006 that was passed by the 2021 legislature. This one sentence explains how the money was carved out for this particular program. So you see that's section 111 of the bill. There were similar amounts of money set aside for other programs like the wildfire hardening program through Building Codes Division, and also some recovery programs through Oregon Housing Authority, and I believe Oregon Housing and Community Services as well. Or is it Oregon Health Authority, OHA, sorry. But this program was granted $10 million from the legislature. This is general fund money, so from taxpayers, to incentivize rebuilding, as I said, commercial buildings, dwellings, and manufactured homes. The odd parts of that amount, the $831,000, that's for administrative costs. So $10 million going out to property owners and manufactured homeowners. And the amount of money is dependent on the type of structure. So these incentive amounts are based on whether you're rebuilding a stick-built or purchasing a manufactured dwelling. And as you can see here, we break down the incentive amounts by what we call code level and above code level. Code refers to the current building code. And at the time this went into effect, the current building code was the 2017 Oregon Residential Specialty Code for dwellings and the 2019 Commercial Structural Code for commercial buildings. The above code refers to whether there's been some additional energy savings documented for that reconstruction. And the most common way that this is done in Southern Oregon is through participation in the Energy Performance Score program, which is run by Energy Trust of Oregon. And that's available to property owners depending on who their electrical utility is. And so, for example, if you're a Pacific Power customer or an Avista customer, those utilities are served by Energy Trust of Oregon, and Energy Trust administers the utilities incentives on their behalf. For the next piece here on this table, we see that there's also an additional incentive for low or moderate income owners. So it adds in an additional $4,500 for residential owners, up to an additional $9,000 if you're also building above code as a low or moderate income owner. And the income is based on the Oregon average income. So if you're at or below the average income for the state of Oregon, then you are considered eligible under our program for this additional incentive money. And just as a rough rule of thumb, average income for Oregon, and we use the 2021 income levels, that was about $63,000 for a family of two.
Huh.
About $42,000 or so for a single person. So if you're at or below those numbers, then that's considered low or moderate income. The next group on this slide is manufactured dwellings. There's a significantly larger incentive available for replacing manufactured dwellings. The catch here is that it has to be Energy Star or NEEM certified. So it has to be a documented energy efficient manufactured dwelling, and it has to be new. So no used manufactured dwellings are eligible for this program. But the incentive amount is $12,500. Tacked on to that for manufactured dwellings is also a heat pump incentive. If you're installing a heat pump that meets the minimum efficiency requirements, we'll pay up to $5,000 for installation of the heat pump.
Wow.
The last category here is commercial, and I've referred to it strictly as commercial, but it does include public buildings. We've had no public buildings go through our program yet. I have a couple of tentative applicants. One, I think, is the school district. I think it's the Talent School District has applied for a district building of some sort, but hasn't completed the application. And I think there might be a fire station that's also thinking about applying, but no public buildings have gone through the process. The other piece of that group is multifamily. So A lot of apartment buildings and condos are being rebuilt, and they are eligible as well. Their incentive is based on the building size, and it starts out at $3,000, goes up to a maximum of $18,000, because we will also pay an additional incentive if they are providing low-income housing. So we pay an additional amount per unit. So those are kind of the ranges of incentives available under our program and the types of structures that are eligible. So a little more detail about the residential structures. As I said, 2017 residential code was in effect at the time this program the legislation was passed. In October of last year, the basic building code was changed to the 2021 version. So building to either of those codes results in a $3,000 eligibility for site-built dwellings. Above code options for most of Talent in Phoenix, it's going to be the Energy Trust of Oregon Performance Score program. If there are folks rebuilding in outside areas, if there's another utility, for example, maybe a natural gas customer that's not eligible for Energy Trust of Oregon program, they may qualify under one of these other programs, but they're very rare. ETO is by far the most common way that folks get that additional incentive amount. If I jump back one screen real quick, you can see, again, that's the difference between the $3,000 base incentive amount up to $6,000. So it doubles if you're in the above code program. Same thing with the low income or moderate income incentive, it doubles with participation in that above code program.
Are these new builds only?
Yes, it's not, I should say no, it's not new only, it's repair or rebuilding after the fire. So if there was major damage done to a structure during the fire and it's being repaired, it can be eligible as well. But it has to identify on the building permit that this is a repair or replacement based on fire effects or due to the fire.
Ah, okay. So it doesn't matter if you're a fire victim and you need help with some repair.
If you moved to an existing site-built dwelling outside the fire zone or even in the fire zone,
yes,
then it would only be eligible if you're doing repairs that are identified on the building permit as repairs as a result of the fire.
Okay. We have to replace our shower because the lady that sold us this place left a big hole in the bottom of the shower pan. We had water immediately after moving in here. And it took us a long time to figure out why.
Right. So this program is based on repairing fire damage. So that may not.
So that's not gonna, that's not going to apply then for me. Even though I'm a fire victim, I still can't get the help. Not with the installation of a heat pump or anything.
Heat pump is only applicable to installation in a new manufactured or a new or used manufactured home,
okay,
not a site-built dwelling.
Okay.
So
Thank you.
Sure. This program is available to the current owner of a structure. So if you purchased a property that was damaged or destroyed in the fire, you can apply as the current owner. It is also retroactive in that structures that have already been rebuilt are still eligible. You don't have to start at the beginning in order to be in our program. I mean, you don't have to apply for our incentive at the beginning of the reconstruction. But all the work has to be done according to the local building department process. So you have to have a building permit. And the location has to be on the same piece of ground that the original structure was located on, unless it's a manufactured home, because manufactured homes in some parks cannot go back where they were. They can be moved anywhere in Oregon and still be eligible for the incentive. Well, the basic steps for receiving the rebate or incentive are: one, confirm that you're eligible, complete an application. We have digital and paper applications available. We highly encourage folks to do the digital application because all of our processing is done in the computer. All of our correspondence is computer generated, and it is very difficult and slow to work around that process. If we have to, we can, but it's much faster and easier all around if we can do it through the computer. The Department of Energy staff then verifies all the information. So, for example, we will look at the building permit information you've given us. We will contact the city if necessary to get a copy of building permit plans, documents, certificate of occupancy, whatever is necessary to confirm that you're eligible and that we know the correct amount of the incentive. Then we will reserve money for that particular person and that particular use, because that $10 million pot is limited and there is a time limit to collect the money. So we will reserve it until work is done. Repair or reconstruction has to be done by December 1st of 2024. After that reconstruction is done and approved by the building department, then it's the applicant's responsibility to tell us at Department of Energy that the work is done so we can finish our review and approval of the incentive amount. Once we are able to verify everything is done and permitted and approved, then we can release the money to the owner, and we do that either by check or direct deposit. The current application deadline, is June 1st, actually prior to June 1st, so May 31st of 2023. So that puts us right at, 7 months or so away. We need to get applications submitted so we can reserve funding. So 7 months to start the application, and then an additional 18 months after that to complete construction and for us to get the money out to the owner. We have a link on our program page, and I can give you a link in the chat that shows you directly where that is. The shortcut to this link is a tiny URL. So it's tinyurl.com and then /efficient-rebuild. And that's a little easier for some folks to look up tiny URL efficient-rebuild, because trying to read off these other links are too difficult, I find, for people to write down.
Doug, I would love if you dropped that tiny URL in the chat.
I will do that, sure.
Yeah.
So as I said, the overall deadline for this entire program as it stands right now is December 1st, 2024. So that is for paperwork to come into us, or I shouldn't say paperwork, but for notice to come into us that says project is done. We've done all the other steps you asked us to do, please pay us. And that gives us 1 month before the program is totally closed out at the end of 2024. Right now we have the state calls it a sunset date, so a hard deadline for the program to end, and any money that's not spent by then, I think, will revert back to the general fund. So it's important to get everyone who's eligible to start an application so we can reserve the money so that it doesn't go back into that general fund. I realize there are a lot of folks that aren't ready yet to rebuild or aren't in a position where they can, but if you think it's on the horizon, if you're planning to do that at some point in the future, you're encouraged to certainly start an application so we can reserve some money in your name. The legislature may do something in the coming session, and when they go back in January, they may decide to extend this program so that folks have a longer time to take advantage of this pot of money, but there's no guarantee that they will do that. So right now, we're still working against these deadlines of applications due by 1st of June, 2024. So in the spring, or excuse me,
23.
2023, sorry. I'm trying to go back to show that. There it is, June 1st, 2023.
Excellent. Wow.
Sorry.
That's awesome, Doug. Gosh, that's such good information. And I know we've shared incentives over the last 2+ years from everybody given anything, but I'm going to really push this out on the Jackson County site too, maybe even in an upcoming newsletter, just as a reminder. Wow. Thank you. What a great presentation.
So did we have any questions on that?
It looks like we have a few. Is there assistance for those who need help filling out the application, whether that be online or the paper?
Yes, and you're welcome to call or email. And I should have it available right here, and I don't see it in front of me, but my assistant is named Jennifer. Jennifer takes phone calls frequently from folks, and she can help do applications over the phone if necessary, or help get you logged into our system. She's available and willing to do whatever it takes to get folks to be able to complete their application.
And can we get that information from the tiny URL? Like we follow that? Is there a contact?
Let me look it up real quick.
Okay.
Any other questions?
There's some more questions in the chat, unless someone wants to ask something. Is there a checklist, like a pre-qualifying checklist that you can do that just like says, no, don't even try to apply for this, you don't qualify? Is there something like that on the website?
There was.
Okay.
There's a list of items needed. It tells kind of the highlights of whether you're eligible or not.
Okay.
So when I filled out the form, it took me like 5 minutes to do the basic part of it. And then the most complicated part was all of the stuff to qualify for being low income. So the base part was really straightforward.
So for income verification, we can accept a letter from SNAP, CHIP, or OHP, something that says you've gotten benefits in the last 7 months. Most people really now send me a copy of the tax transcript, not a tax return because that has your social security number on it, but a tax transcript. And those are available from the IRS. It's fairly easy to do. I've done it for myself. The other thing we can do is try, and I don't have super great luck with this, but we can try to verify through a program like LIHEAP or ORHEAP, one of the weatherization assistance programs. Access actually manages one of those programs, I know, but it's difficult because there's some confidential information involved with participation in those programs. So several different ways we can verify income.
Awesome. I was curious to know, like, how much of that pot of money has already been spent? Like, I know some folks will probably be like, oh, it's probably almost dry. The well is dry, or close to it.
Right. That's a great question. So as of last week, we just went over 500 applications. We have reserved about $2.5 million. So we're a quarter of the way through reserving that money. Still a lot left.
So
Yeah.
The time is short.
Yeah. Okay. That's amazing. Is there a different amount reserved for each county?
No, it's a statewide fund, so first come, first served.
Okay. Excellent. Ah, these are these are like pieces of hope for a lot of people. I know when we all do our jobs, it just sometimes seems like such a chore, but like what a cool thing that you're doing, helping facilitate putting this money where it's most needed.
So I see a request there for email and phone number. I will do that shortly.
Okay.
How are we doing on the rest of the questions there?
I think we pretty much,
There's one about contractors and
yeah, I was just wondering, like Cass had said about the other incentive, like her builder told her about it, like you needed an inspection. And I'm just wondering how well-versed contractors are in the state. That are you finding that they're also telling folks about this that may not know about it?
it really depends. I have gotten quite a few applications directly from contractors, which is great because they're kind of keyed into the whole process. And we actually changed the way we do our review so that they could do that, because our original application was strictly for owners. And when you sign it, you're signing, yes, I'm the owner. And so we had to go back and redo some of those because we had contractors signing saying, yes, I'm the owner, and they're really not. So
Right.
we've added some capacity for them to apply as agents for the owner now.
Okay, but do the owners get the money or do the contractors get the money?
That's the sticky part. We wanted to make sure that the money goes to the owner and not the
That's right.
contractor. So that's
There's a
why
lot of
we didn't
difference.
want the contractors applying saying they're the owner, because that could
Sure.
potentially result in them getting paid when they don't, the money's not meant for them.
Yep.
That was the way it went down with the one that my contractor did for me, and then they sent us the check when they got the check. So
Well, yeah, but you had an honest contractor. There
I
ain't
did,
no whole
yes,
lot of
yeah.
honesty
Well,
out there.
he's my across the street neighbor's friend from church. So
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that have been robbed blind from
I know.
contractors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I keep saying that I would love to feature some of the cool people, extraordinary folks in our community that weren't necessarily fire affected directly, but have gone above and beyond,
Mhm.
their honesty and integrity and just like love for each person. I'm still going to do that one of these days, have like a little virtual awards ceremony, because I know there's some bad apples out there that prey on disaster, So
Yeah.
just put this is great. I'm actually going to share this tomorrow across all the social media channels again. He put the tiny URL in the chat of access. That's great. You can also, earlier in the night, I put the Zone Captain's Facebook page. I do try to keep that up to date with, survivor focused resources and happenings. So you can check that sometime tomorrow. But
And then the two links that I dropped in the chat here, those are the lists. Like you guys were asking, is there a list somewhere of what kind of documents you need to get together? The first one is for site-built homes, and the second one is for manufactured homes.
That's fabulous. Oh, thank you.
Thanks, Cass, for doing my job for me.
Sure, no problem. I've done that for that's been my job lots of times. So
oh, thank you.
She's our Wonder Woman.
Yes, I see that.
Yeah, she is. First award goes to her.
oh gosh, you guys.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is great. And Doug also just put his assistant's information and his information. And wow, this is just this is so special to me, having,
So
yeah.
one other thing I can add is that as a kind of a side project, I created a YouTube video to kind of give out kind of the same information, but it's not on my work computer because it's a side project. So I can't drop it into this right now, but how could I get a link and maybe share that information too?
I just sent you my email address.
Okay.
And I can share that with all the zone captains and also through our following as well.
She's our social media person. So
okay. And the reason I wanted to mention that is because I'm not a representative of Energy Trust. I'm not an expert in their program, but as somebody who thinks there's a need, I created this again as a side project. So not official, totally unofficial, but it's my interpretation of what their program does and what's available, because I had no clue that they have incentives that are, I think, more than ours, more than the Department of Energy. So large incentives available if you qualify. Mm-hmm. So I did a video on how to find that information and what is available. So if we could share that, that would be super.
What a gem. And really, the videos are more engaging. And I feel like folks, at least for me, I'd rather see something than read something. And so thank you. Wow, sure. We got the jackpot.
Well, wait until you see it.
Okay, well, okay. We don't allow for reviews. Oh, does anyone else have any other questions for Doug?
And I'm happy to answer any questions. I know Walter said he had submitted an application. I heard Joseph say the same thing, either offline or now. If you have any specific questions, I know Cass, you said yours was done already. Is that right? Mm-hmm. So if any questions about processing, happy to answer those too.
So I submitted it and received the base level, and I've just been I talked to you before about trying to get it upgraded to the higher level, and I guess I got to get something. If I can get something from the Energy Trust of Oregon that says I meet those standards, I'll send it to you, and so I still have your email.
Great, and I would encourage you to follow through with that if you're inclined, because I know that other folks have had a similar question. So it's not the first time that they've dealt with this. I will say right now, though, that I just got a reply from the Energy Trust representative. She is, I think, away on a family emergency this week. So
is that Karen?
For the residential, it's Cheryl.
Oh, okay.
Cheryl Lacombe. So she may not be available to answer your questions right away, but
Karen Chase is the one I know. So
okay. Yeah, I don't know how large of a staff they have, but that's who I've dealt with. Did you have something, Joseph?
I was just wondering, I thought there was the heat pump and then the energy efficiency. It looks like there's a couple of others. There's a low income and a residential. So all four of those are available.
So for Energy Trust of Oregon, they have programs that kind of mirror the Department of Energy. But if you're in a manufactured home, for Department of Energy incentive, you're entitled to the two incentives, one for the manufactured home itself and one for the heat pump. And we do encourage people to try to capture both the Energy Trust incentive and the Department of Energy incentive. So if you can get both of those incentives from both agencies, that should help a lot.
But his building permit has to state that it's fire, correct?
His building permit, if he's rebuilding in what is that, Bear Creek, Joseph?
Yeah.
So we know Bear Creek was destroyed. His building permit is just going to say, because it's a manufactured home, it's going to say manufactured home installation, and it probably says disaster recovery Alameda Fire.
That's important, right? Kind
Yes,
of.
it is. Yes, it is.
Yeah, I'd have to check that.
Yeah, make sure it says that, Joseph. That way you can correct it before it's too late.
Yeah, the building departments were giving better rates for rebuilds than new builds. So
yep.
The permits tended to say if they'd done something special for it, at least in Phoenix.
So Joseph, I've just added a copy of the building permit to your application. And it specifically says on there Alameda Fire, so it's good. It's covered.
Okay.
We got the inside scoop, you guys.
It says replacement.
Yes, replacement manufactured dwelling. So yes, that's perfect.
Okay. Cool.
Well, this is just so excellent. It's like my heart is like jumping for joy.
Yep.
Awesome. Well, if there are no other questions, I've saved all this information, and we also have this recording, which I'll save and send to the zone captains to keep. And yeah, you can always reach out to any of us with anything more.
Great.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much for being here. It was a treat for us, and also just so valuable.
Well, I'm glad to be here and glad to help. Just feel free to call or email with any questions you come up with later, or if you know friends or neighbors that need information, send them our way. We're happy to help them as well.
And I love knowing that there's still lots of funds to be had, and that's encouraging too. Well, next week, Erica will be back, and you just never know when I'm going to be, put in. But I always love being here. You guys are, I don't know, you're like my zone captain's family.
And also next week,
yes,
Deanne Everson of United Way is going to join us.
Oh my God. Oh, good. And don't forget about the new wildfire recovery fair, which is basically the pop-up. It's in it's in Phoenix at Phoenix Presbyterian.
Yep.
So, at 2:00. So we hope to see you guys all there in person. Stop by and say hello.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yep. Audra and I.
Well, wishing you all a blessed week, and we'll see you soon.
Wait, thank you. Don't close it before we save the chat, Audra.
Oh yeah,
Michael will give a protest sign out.
He's gonna be the first one to fire me.
No. Yeah, okay. Keep trying, sister.
I know. Fingers crossed. No, I'm just kidding. Okay.
Oh well, I'm glad we got all that recorded.
Yeah. Oh, that's true. We're still recording. Okay. Well, let's get off and we'll reconvene next Tuesday, and maybe we'll see some of you on Saturday. That would be awesome.
And it's moved to the First Presbyterian in Phoenix from 2 to 5, correct?
Yes, ma'am. It's 121 West 2nd Street. Basically, hang a right at the Grange.
Oh, I know where it is. I've been there.
And
except they've got it all blocked off right now, and you can't go through there.
Well, now that's true.
Yes.
Circle back.
it's going to be a big day at that Phoenix Center, because in the daytime before the fair, there's the food pantry and the clothing closet.
Yeah.
And then we have our recovery fair. And then after, actually a little bit of overlap time, ours goes till 5, but at 4 o'clock to 9 o'clock in Talent, Coalición Fortaleza is doing their say it for me. Say it.
Yeah.
Mercadito.
Say it again.
Mercadito.
Mercadito.
Oh.
There we go. Which means little market.
Oh, I love it. Oh my goodness.
Well, and I think the Grange is also having their bazaar that Saturday, aren't they?
Wow, it's just a big festival. I don't know. I haven't heard that.
Things going on. I know there's a couple of events out in Eagle Point as well for the holiday giveaway things.
Does anybody know if there's any farmers markets that I can use these vouchers at that I got from Access?
Well, I don't know I know that there's the free farmers markets that Rogue Food Unites is doing. Let me find that.
That's it.
Addresses and everything.
Wednesday, Thursday, but all in different locations.
Yeah. Today was in Medford. Tomorrow we'll be at the First Phoenix Church. And that's 4 to 6 p.m. Is that right, Audra?
I think so, yes.
And then Thursday, it's at the Talent Shakespeare Festival production building on the not quite on the corner of Rapp and Talent Avenue. It's like one property south of being on the corner, but
it's like a big red warehouse looking building.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And those are free for anybody who needs help with food.
Yeah.
And there's really quality stuff. It's all organic, pesticide free produce, meat and eggs and dairy. So
it's excellent. I have heard rave reviews about that farmers market, and same with First Phoenix Community.
Mm-hmm.
Every Saturday, 8 to 12, they have good meat and fresh vegetables, and there's no questions asked. If you're just having a rough week and need an extra bag of groceries, just show up. It's amazing.
They ask that you bring your own bags. So bring your reusable shopping bags.
Okay, yes. And Jose just dropped the Grange Holiday Bazaar.
Yeah, we missed it. I think it was on the 6th.
Oh no.
Oh.
There'll be more. We barely got into the holidays, so I'm sure there's going to be so much more.
The price of fresh produce has gone insane.
There's the Tuesday Growers Market in Ashland by the university.
Yeah, that one's not free, but yes.
Oh, but maybe Sherry could redeem her vouchers at that one.
Oh yeah.
Where is it at?
It's on Walker and Ashland Street by the university.
On Saturdays?
Tuesday mornings.
Isn't it the old Grange or the not the Grange,
It's
old Armory?
The Armory, that's it. It's at the Armory.
Across from the Market of Choice.
Oh.
And it's Tuesdays at what
time?
They
moved it.
Yeah.
It goes until 1:30.
Awesome. Thank you.
When did they move it to that location?
It's been there all summer.
Oh. Yeah. I haven't been there this year. It always used to be at the down on
the old Armory.
The Armory, yeah.
Well, actually the new Armory. The historic Armory is the one downtown.
Oh. No, it's a field on Ashland Street.
Yeah, I've passed it a couple times.
I remember years and years ago there was one at the old historic Armory. Once a week.
I haven't been there for a long time.
Oh wow, yeah.
It's at the active Armory, or it was on East Main.
Yeah.
But now it's in front of the pools.
Kind of, yeah.
Okay.
There's dorms right there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Starbucks is where the bank used to be.
Yeah, we need another one of those.
It's nice. I mean, for a Starbucks, it's pretty nice. It's like a chalet or chateau. Yeah, I don't know.
Chalet. You're right. It's a chalet.
Yeah. Oh, I found it. Okay. Here's the addresses for the free farmers markets.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Go.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, definitely go and utilize that. That's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
Oh, thank you guys.
Yes, thank you all so much. Go eat the rest
Thank
of
you.
and rest. And know that we're always here in your corner, and we'll see you every Tuesday right here.
Bye.
Thank
See you
you.
next week.
All right, thanks, you guys.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for being here.